Na 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 na. Pink History.
Hello and welcome to Pink History, the podcast where we dig deep into the stories of extraordinary women who changed the course of history in their own brilliant, bold, and sometimes downright surprising ways. I'm your host Andrea, and today we're going on a long, winding journey into the life and times of one of history's most fascinating figures, Cleopatra VII, the last active ruler of Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cleopatra? Isn't she that legendary queen who mixed romance with political savvy? And yes, she absolutely was. But there's so much more to her story than ancient love affairs and sumptuous Egyptian palaces. Today, we're going to unpack her early life, her ascent to power, her political genius, her cultural influence, and most importantly, why Cleopatra continues to inspire so many people today as a symbol of female empowerment. So sit back, grab your favorite cup of tea, and let's begin this deep dive into the life of Cleopatra, the queen who redefined what it means to be a leader, a diplomat, and a true visionary in a male-dominated world. Let's start at the very beginning. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE into the Ptolemaic dynasty, a family that ruled Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great. The Ptolemies were a fascinating blend of Greek and Egyptian traditions, a cultural melting pot that would later influence Cleopatra's own multifaceted identity. Imagine growing up in a world where you're expected to be both Greek intellectual and an Egyptian ruler, balancing two distinct cultures, languages, and expectations. That vibrant backdrop was the setting of Cleopatra's childhood. Her family was known for its clever political maneuvering, and from a very young age, Cleopatra learned the art of leadership. Despite being born into royalty, she was no delicate flower. Instead, she was known for her fierce intellect and ambition, traits that would serve her well as she ascended to power. As a child, she received rigorous and diverse education in philosophy, literature, and even the sciences. There's even a discussion among historians about her reputed ability to speak several languages, which would later help her connect with people from many cultures. Think about it for a moment. In a time when education was reserved mostly for men, here was Cleopatra, a young girl being groomed to eventually lead one of the greatest empires in the ancient world. Her early life was not only about learning to read and write, it was about understanding diplomacy, mastering the nuances of politics, and even honing the kind of witty banter that would charm both allies and adversaries alike. Cleopatra's journey to power is a story of intrigue and determination. After the death of her father, Ptolemy XII, the throne was not immediately hers. Instead, she found herself caught in a fierce power struggle with her siblings, each vying for control of Egypt. Historical resources describe how Cleopatra's formidable intelligence and assertiveness allowed her to navigate these turbulent waters and eventually secure her position as queen. What is truly inspirational is that Cleopatra did not simply inherit power, she earned it. In a world that often relegated women to secondary roles, Cleopatra boldly stepped into the spotlight. Her rise was marked not only by her ability to outwit rivals, but also her strategic use of the political resources available to her. She recognized that power was not solely about military might or wealth. It was about influence, charisma, and forging genuine connections with her people. Imagine being in her shoes, a young queen with delicate hold on a vast empire, surrounded by intrigue at every corner. Instead of succumbing to pressure, Cleopatra redefined leadership. She built relationships with key figures in both Rome and Egypt, mastered the art of international diplomacy, and was never afraid to make bold decisions. Her reign transformed Egypt, blending the opulence of ancient traditions with innovative, forward-thinking governance. Let's talk about one of Cleopatra's most fascinating qualities, her exceptional diplomatic skill. While many remember her for relationships with figures like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, what's less discussed is how she carefully crafted alliances to benefit Egypt as much as herself. Cleopatra understood that diplomacy was not just about forming alliances, it was about creating a compelling narrative. She wasn't content to be remembered solely for her romantic liaisons. She wanted her legacy defined by her strategic brilliance. By blending sensual charm with intellectual prowess, every move she made was calculated to win hearts and minds. Her famed meetings with Julius Caesar, for instance, showcased the audacity of a queen who, when politically isolated, risked everything to connect with Rome's most powerful man. Similarly, her later alliance with Mark Antony, complex and fraught as it was, serves as a testament to her shrewd ability to navigate international politics. In both instances, Cleopatra was not playing a minor role. She was actively shaping history using her personal charisma as a tool for statecraft. I like to think of her as a master storyteller. She crafted a myth for herself, a narrative that combined beauty, intellect, and an unyielding will to lead. Her diplomatic moves weren't just about treaties or alliances. They were about inspiring her people and sending a message to the world. Egypt, under Cleopatra, was a beacon of culture, intellect, and progress. And even today, modern discussions reveal how her diplomatic legacy continues to inspire leaders. One of Cleopatra's most enduring contributions is her role as a cultural icon. Beyond politics and power struggles, Cleopatra was a dedicated patron of the arts and sciences. She surrounded herself with scholars, poets, and philosophers, creating a vibrant intellectual hub at her court that attracted some of the most brilliant minds of her time. This wasn't accidental. Cleopatra was well aware that culture played a vital role in legitimizing her rule. By actively promoting education, art, and science, she wasn't just investing in Egypt's future. She was also building a legacy that would outlast the turbulent politics of her day. Today, numerous resources explore how her court became synonymous with learning and enlightenment. In our modern context, when we speak about influential women, we often focus on their battles or conquests. But Cleopatra's story reminds us that true leadership also involves fostering creativity, encouraging intellectual curiosity, and championing the arts. Her dedication to cultural pursuits continues to inspire educators, historians, and artists worldwide. I often imagine Cleopatra as more than just a queen, as a muse whose presence sparked creativity and innovation. Whether you're an artist, a scientist, or simply a history enthusiast, there's something deeply resonant in her story. It's the way she intertwined intellect with intuition, balancing the demands of leadership with a genuine passion for culture. If there's one thing that truly makes Cleopatra stand out, it's the breadth of her talents. Today, we often compartmentalize qualities like beauty, intelligence, leadership, and cultural prowess. But Cleopatra integrated all these facets into a singular, remarkable persona. She wasn't just a ruler. She was a diplomat, a scholar, a strategist, and, dare I say, a captivating performer of her own narrative. Let's talk for a moment about her linguistic abilities. According to various historical resources, Cleopatra reportedly spoke several languages, including Egyptian and Greek, among others. This was far more than a neat parlor trick. It was a key diplomatic asset. By communicating in the languages of her people and her allies, Cleopatra was able to break down barriers and forge essential connections. In many ways, she became a bridge between cultures, embodying the very notion of cosmopolitan leadership long before our modern era. Her reputation for beauty is well known, but her allure went far beyond physical appearance. She was celebrated for her wit, eloquence, and ability to captivate audiences, a combination that made her a formidable communicator and persuasive leader. In a time when women were often judged solely by their looks, Cleopatra redefined attractiveness by showing that beauty truly comes from the mind and spirit as much as from the surface. This challenges the simplistic stereotypes that often pervade historical narratives. Cleopatra wasn't one-dimensional. She was a multifaceted leader who harnessed every aspect of herself to serve her people and her vision for Egypt. Whether drawn to her diplomatic genius, her intellectual curiosity, or her undeniable determination, Cleopatra remains a powerful symbol of what women can achieve when they defy narrow societal roles. Now, let's focus on a part of Cleopatra's legacy that resonates especially in our modern world: empowerment. Today, we frequently seek historical role models, women who shattered barriers and changed norms. Cleopatra is one such figure. transcending time to become an icon of female empowerment. Consider this. In an era when women were often expected to remain in the background, Cleopatra not only ruled but reshaped the political landscape of an entire empire. Her life stands as a bold reminder that leadership isn't confined to gender. Through her actions, she challenged conventional ideas about power, proving that women could be both politically astute and intellectually brilliant without sacrificing their femininity. Moreover, Cleopatra's empowerment is evident in how she crafted her narrative. Rather than letting history define her, she took control of her story, presenting herself as a dynamic, multifaceted leader who excelled both in scholarly debates and on the battlefield. This self-determination serves as a powerful message for anyone, especially young women, about owning your own narrative and defying societal expectations. I like to think of Cleopatra as the original boss lady. Her life is a timeless call to embrace one's strengths, pursue education and innovation, and break free from any pre-assigned role. Her story, echoed across numerous articles and history platforms, continues to inspire countless people around the world. Beyond her cultural and inspirational legacy, Cleopatra was a true political marvel. Let's dive into the mechanics of her political strategies. Sophisticated, bold, and forward-thinking. At a time when the Roman Republic was expanding, Cleopatra had to manage formidable external threats while maintaining internal stability. Historical analysis emphasized that her political acumen lay in understanding that power was not merely about military might, but in alliances, public perception, and even well-chosen words. Her willingness to take calculated risks, whether in meeting Julius Caesar or aligning with Mark Antony, illustrates a leader who was never afraid to place herself at the center of history's stage. By taking these bold steps, she not only secured Egypt's future, but also set an example of courage and decisive leadership that modern discussions on history continue to celebrate. Cleopatra's political legacy is a masterclass in strategic thinking. For anyone who's ever faced a tough decision or felt the weight of seemingly unsurmountable odds, her life is a reminder that sometimes you just need to trust your instincts and take a leap of faith. Her legacy teaches us that effective leadership involves both intellect and the courage to make difficult choices, an idea that still resonates in today's fast-paced world. Before we move on, let's address some common myths and misconceptions surrounding Cleopatra's personal life. While her relationships with figures like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony often capture the spotlight, they shouldn't overshadow her other achievements. Cleopatra's personal relationships are frequently portrayed as scandalous or overly romanticized. However, scholarly articles stress that these relationships were also strategic moves, a way to secure Egypt's position on the global stage. Engaging with powerful Roman figures was as much about stagecraft as it was about personal ambition. It's also important to note that many discussions point out that the sensational stories about her beauty and charm may have been overblown. Her true strength lay in her intellect, wit, and capacity for deep connection, traits that enabled her to navigate both personal and political challenges. For anyone who's felt pressured to conform to a certain image, Cleopatra's life offers a refreshing counter-narrative. True power comes from embracing all facets of who you are. As we near the final stretch of our episode, let's reflect on how Cleopatra's story has evolved over the centuries, and why it continues to captivate us today. Artists, writers, and filmmakers have reimagined her life countless times, often blending fact with myth. Yet this enduring fascination speaks to a universal truth. Cleopatra's legacy is timeless. Her life has become synonymous with resilience, empowerment, and the intricate nature of human ambition. In an era where discussions about gender roles and empowerment are ever present, Cleopatra stands out as a figure who exemplifies these ideals in a uniquely ancient context. Whether you're reading a biography, browsing a digital museum, or exploring an academic journal, her story remains a source of inspiration. Cleopatra reminds us that history is not merely a record of events. It's a living narrative shaped by the extraordinary individuals who dared to dream, lead, and challenge the norms. Let's take a moment to consider what we can learn from Cleopatra's leadership. History is full of great leaders who combine courage, intelligence, and willingness to take risks. Cleopatra embodied all of these qualities, and her life offers timeless lessons for any leader today. Her commitment to lifelong learning, whether through philosophy, literature, or languages, is something that many educational platforms discuss as key to her success. Even under the pressures of ruling an empire, she never stopped seeking knowledge. Adaptability is another hallmark of her leadership. Cleopatra was a master at reading her environment and pivoting her strategies. In our modern, ever-changing world, this flexibility is more critical than ever. Whether negotiating a business deal, managing a team, or balancing personal challenges, her example teaches us to adjust and grow. Finally, Cleopatra's insistence on defining her own identity reminds us that authenticity is a cornerstone of leadership. Rather than conforming to traditional roles, she embraced all aspects of her persona, proving that the courage to be yourself is one of the most powerful forms of empowerment. Before we wrap up, I'd like to share why Cleopatra's story resonates so deeply with me. She isn't just a distant historical figure. She's a reminder that each of us has the potential to be extraordinary. Her journey from a determined young girl to one of history's most formidable leaders is a story of perseverance, courage, and unwavering self-belief. Whenever I face challenges, I think of how Cleopatra navigated family feuds, political intrigue, and the weight of ruling an empire. Her example reminds me, and I hope you, that adversity can be overcome with passion and persistence. As we move toward the conclusion of our episode, let's consider the lasting impact of Cleopatra's legacy. Long after her death, her story has continued to fascinate historians, artists, and the public alike. Online, you can find countless digital exhibits, articles, and scholarly papers that examine her life from every angle. What makes her legacy so enduring isn't just the drama of her personal life. It's the way her life speaks to timeless themes. The struggle for power, the quest for self-determination, and the pursuit of knowledge. Her life is a tapestry of bold choices and strategic brilliance, a narrative that continues to inspire people around the globe. Her lessons are as relevant now as ever. We live in a world of rapid change where leadership, identity, and empowerment are hot topics on communities and digital think tanks. One lesson is the importance of strategic thinking. Just as Cleopatra forged opportunities rather than waiting for them, we too can benefit from a proactive approach. Whether in business, community work, or personal challenges, her life, as explored in numerous articles and academic papers, shows us that anticipating challenges and seizing opportunities is a timeless skill. Another modern takeaway is the value of diversity, of ideas, cultures, and experiences. Cleopatra's reign was enriched by the blend of Greek and Egyptian influences, a fact often highlighted in cultural studies. In our globalized society, embracing diverse perspectives remains a key to innovation and growth. And lastly, her resilience in the face of adversity is a lesson for us all. Resources repeatedly point out that setbacks are not endpoints, but opportunities to build strength and learn. Her ability to rise above challenges serves as a powerful reminder that perseverance pays off. Every great historical story is also a journey of self-discovery. Cleopatra's life was marked by a constant exploration of identity, balancing her roles as queen, diplomat, and a woman in complex society. This aspect of her journey, frequently discussed on websites and digital history portals, resonates with all of us. She refused to be confined by the roles that others prescribed for her. Instead, she forged an identity that was as diverse and dynamic as the empire she ruled. For anyone feeling pressured to fit a predetermined mold, her example is a powerful reminder that true self-discovery involves embracing every part of who you are, even the parts that challenge convention. Let's summarize our exploration of Cleopatra's life. We've delved into her early years, the cultural crossroads that shaped her. We've examined her rise to power, her diplomatic finesse, and multifaceted talents, and importantly, the empowering legacy she left behind. Cleopatra's life is a mosaic of bold choices, strategic brilliance, and the courage to define her own narrative. In today's digital age, where online sources and virtual archives continue to reveal fresh insights, her story remains an inspiration to those who dare to dream and lead with authenticity. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into Cleopatra's life. I hope you've enjoyed exploring these layers of history as much as I have had sharing them with you. Before we say goodbye, I want to mention a few of the online spots I love to visit when I'm curious to learn more about Cleopatra. If you're up for a little extra reading, why not check out Encyclopedia Britannica's online entry on Cleopatra, or swingbyhistory.com. They've got some engaging articles on ancient Egypt and Cleopatra's fascinating life. I also really enjoy browsing digital exhibits on BBC History and Smithsonian Magazine's website. They make ancient histories feel so fresh and accessible. And for those of you who like to dive even deeper, Google Scholar is a fantastic place to find academic articles that explore everything from Cleopatra's political strategies to her cultural influence. These are just some of the digital hangouts that keep my historical curiosity alive, and I hope you find them as enjoyable and insightful as I do. As we wrap up this extensive episode of Pink History, I leave you with one final thought. History isn't merely about dates and events. It's about the people who challenge the status quo and forge their own paths. Cleopatra's life reminds us that each of us has the power to inspire change, to question tradition, and to create a legacy that endures long after our time. Thank you for joining me on this epic journey through the life of Cleopatra, a queen whose enduring legacy continues to light the way for empowerment and innovation. I'm Andrea, and it has been a pleasure exploring this remarkable chapter of history with you. Until next time on Pink History, keep celebrating the stories that shape who we are, and never stop seeking out inspiration hidden in our past. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for sticking with me on this deep dive. I hope you're feeling inspired to challenge your own boundaries and to embrace your true self. Until next time on Pink History, this is Andrea signing off. Stay curious, stay empowered, and have an amazing day.